Have you spent hundreds of pounds, dollars, or euros on a TuneBoy cable which doesn't work? Are you having communication issues? Maybe it'll communicate but not very well. Maybe it will connect and try to load a map and it takes forever and then drops. Or maybe you go to update the drivers and it just says your drivers are corrupt because you've got Windows 10. Well, watch this video and we'll show you how to fix it. Alright, what's up guys, it's Archer Turbo here from the internet. So you got a TuneBoy cable and it doesn't work for some reason, maybe your drivers won't update. Here's how you fix it. So this principle works for all versions of Windows, but with this particular version here, Windows 10, we need to disable digital driver enforcement. And that's the reason why the drivers won't work with Windows 10 in particular. So we press the Windows key and X. And what this will do is bring up a menu. Computer's a bit slow now because it's only after starting up, so bear with me. There we go. So now we need to select Device Manager. So this is just showing you what happens if, or this is what happens when you go to update your TuneBoy cable drivers in Windows 10 in particular. Just a demonstration of, it comes back with an error saying that the driver is corrupt. Here we go. It's a little bit slow. So any second now we should get a list of devices. There we go. So what happens next is this is basically just looking at your list of drivers. I'm going to expand the USB drivers section here, our devices. So now I'm going to plug in TuneBoy cable into the computer, and bear in mind you don't want to plug it into the bike at the same time, just computer for this. So what will happen now is the screen will refresh and the TuneBoy cable will appear on the list of devices. And it'll appear in two places. So there's one under other devices and there's another one down below then under USB devices. So we have to update the drivers for both of them, but just for this example I'm going to show you here now. I'm going to right click on it, update driver. I'm going to browse my computer for driver software, point the browser or browse to where the drivers are located, press go. It's attempting to install the drivers and then it says no, the file is likely corrupt or has been tampered with, so it won't allow you to use it because this is Windows 10 and it doesn't like old or digital signature-less drivers like the TuneBoy ones. So what we've got to do is go in here to restart the computer. Now don't just restart it, you have to press and hold the shift key and then restart it, and you want to hold that shift key down throughout this whole process and keep it down, just like on screen here. What this does is when the computer restarts, it goes into like a pre-startup menu, which we'll see in a second. So this is disabling digital driver enforcement in Windows 10. It's a step we need to do for Windows 10 in particular. I think you might need to do it for Windows 8. I don't know, I'm no expert, but if your driver is shown as file corrupt, then you probably just need to do this. So here we go. So what we want to do then is go into troubleshoot. So in troubleshoot and then advanced options. And then we want to go into see more recovery options and then startup settings. So this will give us a list of stuff now. So as you can see, if we restart to change Windows options such as all this stuff here, and the one we want is disable driver signature enforcement. So I'm going to press restart now again. This time it starts in this mode where I can select from that list. Okay, here we go. So we got a list of 1 to 9 things and we just need to press a number of either your F keys, F1 to 9. So we want to pick number 7, F7, disable digital driver signature enforcement. Well, it doesn't say digital, but anyway. So there we go. The 7 button also works. In fact, I think it's supposed to be the 7 button. Anyway. Okay, so we want to go Windows key and X again to get back into that device manager. And there we go, finally comes up. So device manager again, because now we've disabled our digital driver signature enforcement, we can now plug back in our TuneBoy cable. Just waiting for device manager. And this time we will be able to update the drivers. We won't get an error telling us that it's corrupt. Just Windows 10 reckons that the drivers are corrupt because they don't have digital signatures, but if you disable that feature, we'll say, of Windows 10, then it's no longer a problem. Now you can of course re-enable digital signature enforcement, but I think it actually does it automatically if you do another restart. I'm not sure. So here we go. There's device manager again. So I'm just going to extend the window here. So when I plug in the TuneBoy cable, you can see it appear on my device list. So, and here we go. So it is up here under other devices. So we're going to right click, update driver. And select browse my computer for device software, and then you want to use the browser to point it to where you store the drivers, and then hit go. And hey presto. Now you do need to select install this driver software anyway. This is just a warning that it doesn't have a digital signature, but it allows you to install it if you wish, which should be the default, but I guess Windows 10 has a bit of a nanny feature to it. So we'll give it a minute. And there we go. It's done. Well, one of them is done. That's the other device. Now we need to wait a minute, and now you go down. That's just, you want to take note of that there. Your TuneBoy cable is on COM port 6. That'll come in handy later. We need that for, we need to update that as well. No? Okay, I made a mistake there. Sorry, this is a voiceover. Update driver, same thing again. Install the driver software anyway. So we need to take note of this COM port 6. I want to write that down. We'll come back to that later. But that's another error you might get with TuneBoy. There's a mismatch in the COM ports. So the way it has worked on my computer is, hold on, I'll come back to that. That one is done. So I'll close that down. Refresh the list, and now you can see that this TuneBoy cable COM port 6 is good to go. There's no longer a little yellow exclamation mark beside it. So we can close that down. And now we're going to open up TuneBoy. So I'll open up TuneBoy itself. This is the diagnostic software, first of all. So I'm just switching on my engine at the moment, well, ignition, sorry, not the engine, and plug in the TuneBoy cable so you can connect up to your bike at this stage and switch on the ignition. Now bear in mind you want to put the ignition or put the battery on a charger while you're doing this, just to hold the voltage stable. That's very important. So we go ahead and start up the TuneBoy program, and any second now it will start to read, and there we go, it is now reading. And then you can also go into sensors and it'll populate with all the sensor data. There we go. That's good. So just checking for errors. And you can also go into tests and run a few tests if you want. Like I said, a cooling fan. So just back to my earlier point on your device driver list. The TuneBoy cable will appear on my computer anyway, it does it in 2 different places. But you'll find them pretty quickly because the device will have a little yellow triangle on the icon with an exclamation mark on it. That means there's a problem with the driver for that device. So those are the ones we need to update. So hopefully it's just 2, not 3 or 5 or something silly like that. But any of the devices in your device manager with that little yellow triangle and exclamation mark on it, you need to update the drivers for those devices. And then your cable should work. So we'll go ahead and exit out of TuneBoy now, and we'll go into TuneEdit, which is the map editor side of the TuneBoy software suite. So this is if you want to remap your bike, edit the map in the bike. This is where you need to check that your COM ports match up, because otherwise you'll have a connection error still, even though your cable device drivers are up to date. Okay, so now that we have TuneEdit open, what we need to do is go into Properties, under Options, Properties, and in the Properties window, you'll need to make sure that all your COM ports match up with the COM port number, which we took a note of earlier, in this case COM port 6. We took a note of that earlier when we were updating the driver. COM port 6 is the correct one. If there's a mismatch in COM ports between what it says in the device driver window and this window, then you will have a communication problem, even if your drivers are up to date. So that's just another thing to check. But once you have all that done, then you should be good to go. So I hope this video has been of some use to you. I'll see you out there.